it's believable. Saw it at the time, it's achievable. Now I got the drive, get the key to go. Got the key to go, if I believe it though.
Yeah, being in this space, I know I gotta hold my hope down. Seeing what it takes, I gotta know that I can show how.
Questioning myself if I believe it though. No longer question if I'm really a believer though. Now you should take into account that my account can build my belief. Take into account I must account for what I really think. Being in the space I learned to see. I only ever make what every day I can't believe. I gotta go. This the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. This the only vibe to go. I do believe it, do you believe it? I said, are you a believer till the end? When your funds are low, can you believe in it again? No longer ever questioning yourself if you believe it though. You never questioning yourself if you believe it though.
Now there's one thing about the future, you should know that you deserve it all. Landing on the moon, take a belief that's going vertical.
Being in the space I learned to see. I only ever make what every day I can't believe. I gotta go. This the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. This the only vibe to go. I do believe it, do you believe it? I gotta go. This the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. This the only vibe to go. I do believe it, do you believe it? Made up in my mind, it's believable. Saw it at the time, it's achievable. Now I got the drive, get the key to go. I got the key to go, if I believe it though.
Yeah,
made up in my mind, it's believable. Saw it at the time, it's achievable. Now I got the drive, get the key to go. Got the key to go, if I believe it though.
Yeah.
Now I got the drive, now I got the drive. I believe inside, I believe inside. I believe inside, I believe inside.
I wanna see your hands up in the sky.
Family by my side,
if you're a
I
believer
believe inside. I said, now I
let's
got
get
the
together.
drive, now I got the
feel
drive.
this moment.
I believe
One life to
inside.
live.
Since the creation of the internet, every industry has been turned upside down. Amazon changed retail. Uber changed transportation. YouTube changed video forever. With the invention of crypto, money is next. At the speed technology is growing, the future of money and securities are digital. 9 out of 10 millennials do not trust banks. The value of money relies on trust. Government debt is higher than it's ever been before. Central banks continue to print money. Fortunately, the world has a new solution. Experts predict in 7 years, 10% of the world's economy will be in crypto-based assets. Today, 1 billion people have access to the financial industry. Crypto is about empowering the other 6 billion people by banking the unbanked. Do not underestimate this. Do you wish you invested in Google, Amazon, or Netflix before anyone ever knew about them? $1,000 invested in Netflix turned to over $500,000. At Token Metrics, we help you find the next Netflix. Token Metrics users think differently about investing. They are early adopters looking for financial freedom. They are people who see a better world. A world without international borders. We believe in a world where everyone has access to the next financial revolution. At Token Metrics, we are creating a bridge that gets you to that revolution. We will help you make sound investments in this new world. The world's best investors do not rely on their intuition. They embrace technology and AI to invest. Tokenmetrics uses AI to find invisible patterns in data to help you invest and trade in crypto. In the past, we have used our data-driven system to achieve financial freedom. Now, we are giving you the keys. We created Tokenmetrics to be the only platform you'll ever need to make money in crypto. We give you AI and access to crypto experts at the best price. The moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tokenmetrics Live. I'm Ian Bellina, your host. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Ian, I'm doing good. I'm holding it together. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. I know lots of people are definitely curious to hear our thoughts on the market. I mean, tough times. We're kind of joking offline. I mean, both of our areas are pretty chaotic with things going on with the coronavirus, especially here in my county, outside of DC. The coronavirus is here. Everybody's scared. It's almost like it's chaotic. But don't worry, we'll hodl. We'll be in here. We'll try to find some reason and really just ride out the storm. All right. So, Bill, how's the market?
All right. So let's begin with the key point for crypto. This market, the crypto market, is being driven by the legacy crash. That would be stocks, oil, junk bonds. Okay. It's just a flat out crash. Goldman thinks oil could go to $20 a barrel. Okay. And it's going to be down another $10 when it opens today. So legacy is crashing. And the reason it is, and we'll make it into a joke later, but we're looking at a complete stoppage of all economics for up to 90 days. That's what's currently being priced in. Now, also what's currently going to get priced in is a stock market shutdown, because it's going to become an embarrassment to the U.S. administration.
Wow.
Because they were too slow to react. So the only way that they can stop the embarrassment is to halt trading. Now, that brings me to a simple thing for crypto. Why is crypto down so much this weekend? Well, because it's the only thing open. It's the only thing that they could sell or short, right? So if they put a whole bunch of pressure on things like Bitcoin futures and things like that, that's going to spill over into the rest of the market.
Okay, so quick question, Bill. When was the last time the government stopped trading on
9/11?
9/11?
Yeah, and that's just because they couldn't get, they couldn't get to the exchange because of the disaster, right?
Right.
So they shut the market down for 3 days so people could calm down. But, markets have to be shut down all the time. Now, again, if you're a crypto person, you don't want that, because then our little teeny weeny market becomes the thing that everybody just indiscriminately sells to try to hedge themselves. That's what's happening currently. So I don't think this has anything to do with crypto. I do think it's unfortunate because of the derivative products that people may just indiscriminately sell Bitcoin. But overall, I think that this is going to create a huge buying opportunity in whatever coins you think may be next, particularly as forms of payment. We can go into that more later or now.
Right. Okay. I mean, I think that's definitely very interesting, because this week I've been hearing people go back and forth about how this week has shown, actually Peter Schiff himself was kind of saying that Bitcoin was going to crash and crypto was going to crash. But rather, people have been going back and forth saying that this week shows that crypto isn't really a safe haven, because it's been crashing alongside everything else. And I think this kind of goes back to what we covered on the last few live streams, where I was basically saying crypto is a safe haven when it comes to political risk and currency risk. But in terms of other kinds of risks, I haven't really seen it myself as being a safe haven outside of those two different categories.
Right. No, look, in 2018, everyone was like, yay, institutions are coming to crypto. We're saved. Hey, people, look, sell everything at the hedge fund level means sell everything. It doesn't mean we're going to sell stocks and bonds and hold Litecoin. No, it means sell everything. All right. So that's where crypto's caught in that, but that's okay because there are points where sell everything creates massive buying opportunities. Okay. And where I think the massive buying opportunities are going to come in is I heard a rumor Honeywell's coming out with a quantum computer. I think Bitcoin futures, hedge funds are going to pick on that as a way to hedge, right? So Bitcoin could get artificially hurt the way stocks got artificially hurt in 2008. That was really a debt crisis, not a stock market crisis. So people may pick on Bitcoin, but things that people really can't short with impunity, like I was wondering, Ether, Litecoin. I mean, I know people can short it on MEX and there's all these derivative exchanges, but I think there's going to be a limit to how much they can destroy things like Zcash and other things because physical fiat paper is going to carry the virus, right? And I think point of sale, crypto used at the point of sale, it will happen by the time the US quarantine is over. Now we can debate when that happens, but crypto is going to be used to pay for things at registers and online.
So you're saying as this pandemic, endemic, whatever it's called, as this gets bigger and bigger, the American government will shift away from using fiat because of the coronavirus and possibly use
no, actually the American people.
The American people.
All people. I mean, if you can't use fiat, right, how do you pay at a register, right? Online delivery, in other words, everyone who's doing Uber, everyone who's doing DoorDash for food and cars, you're taking some transmission risk there. And if the government's got everything locked down, you may have to go to a store and physically pay for things. I don't know how it's working inside the quarantine zone, but if your credit card, if you need to pay for something, I think crypto is going to be a part of that equation.
So
if the credit card, I mean, would you loan somebody money? If you had money, would you loan it to somebody via a credit card in a world where people are going to hoard and default?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That part I didn't really think of.
Right. So, I mean, if this spills over into the banking system, right? I mean, you got to remember, you can't have a legacy crash and have not ripple over into, say, the banking system, right? And then we've been talking about DeFi, right? Guess what? How long is it going to take people to figure out that they can borrow money against Ether without going to a bank? They can borrow money against Ether and get dollars and use them without having to get a loan from a bank.
Yeah, that's big. That's big. All right, so tell us what you guys think in the comments below. Once again, welcome to the show. Let me open up my screen here. Okay, so today's show is obviously on coronavirus, the markets, how all that's affecting crypto. As usual, we're not investment advisors. We're just sharing our personal opinion. And if you haven't yet already, be sure to join tokenmetrics.com. We have a 14-day free trial available. And the Menti code for today's live stream, go to menti.com, MENTI.com, and use the code 574301. That's 574301 to submit your questions for the AMA. We'll also be taking questions from our audience on the Tokenmetrics channel as well. All right, so on the agenda, we've kind of done quick intros, legacy crash. We'll do some quick TA because Bill does have to leave pretty soon. Then we'll cover our top 10 cryptocurrencies for this week based on our token metrics, based on analytics, data, and machine learning. And then we'll do the AMA. So any questions you have regarding cryptocurrencies, investing, be sure to submit them at menti.com. All right, so let's kind of skip the intros since you guys kind of know us. So question of the day. If crypto drops 20%, which coin will you buy? Once again, If crypto drops 20%, what's going to be the coin you will buy? Is it Bitcoin, Zcash, Litecoin, stablecoins? Are you going on the sidelines completely, or Matic Network? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Bill, so how about you? If you had to purchase a cryptocurrency after crypto drops 20%, what would you buy?
Okay. Well, my usual answer is Ether. Okay. But I think Zcash is one candidate, right? Zcash is already down 12%. It's also hitting kind of a big retracement line. So in many ways, things like Dash and Zcash, you're going to get a chance to buy these things back where they were when they started their huge rally up. It's like a do-over in street yard basketball, right? So I'm really interested in this. Now, I know everyone hates Litecoin, all right? But Litecoin may actually have a use case because it's fast. Now, the good news is Litecoin may drop from 52 to 42, and I think if it does, that's where it's a buy. All right? All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin. All right. So, there doesn't really seem to be anybody home here. It feels like if Bitcoin takes out like 8,400, okay, here it is. If this is XBT, okay, and I'm going to go to weekly. Okay. So it feels like if Bitcoin takes out, say, 8,400 right there, that there isn't really anybody home. Now, here's what I'm hoping for. So here's our crypto hope and prayer. Our hope and prayer is that when the equity markets open and people can sell what they really want to sell, not just sell whatever's open, that Bitcoin will hold 8,400. Somewhere it will get back above that level. Now, if it doesn't, it's going down 20% with everything else. But I want to see it hold.
Yeah, I mean,
and if it doesn't, then you're going to get to buy it at 6,000.
Wow. Okay, I mean, so people have been asking for better opportunities to buy more Bitcoin. Well, looks like they're coming.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming. And, things like Matic Network, this thing got destroyed last year, okay? And I'm wondering if Matic seems to be actually kind of holding up. So I'm wondering if the smaller altcoins, there was a long time ago, and I know this was the wrong answer, but you said, Bill, do you think alts will ever really come back? Do you ever think they'll get hot? Right? Now, my answer was, I don't think so. And I'm officially taking that back. And here's why. People are going to need to find the next thing in crypto. In other words, this virus situation and the legacy blow up is going to force projects to come alive, right? It's going to it could be like sort of like in the movies where you see somebody, they get pulled out of the pool and they get, revived with CPR. I think there could be a CPR moment in altcoins, right? In alternative forms of money and in some of this possible cross-chain DeFi and staking universe.
Okay,
right?
So basically you're saying due to what's happening in capital markets, it could really force some people to move to DeFi and see how they could do whatever they're doing earlier with DeFi.
That's right. So here's the chain reaction. So legacy crash, okay, triggers selling in Bitcoin. That's artificial. That may force Bitcoin holders to say, okay, we got to find the next project. I don't mind buying more Bitcoin at 6,000, but if I'm sick of them picking on Bitcoin, I got to find the next thing now. And I may also have to use it to pay for things now, right? I mean, if a loaf of bread goes to $12, the only currencies that are out there that can keep pace with that kind of inflation is a cryptocurrency. Right? This is like the original argument for why Satoshi made Bitcoin to begin with. So it wouldn't necessarily be a safe haven like gold, but it would be something that would have a utility in the event of a crisis.
Now, just kind of speaking off the top of my head, what comes to mind to me is Maker and Dai. Dai being a stablecoin, and then Maker being kind of pegged to that, the two token model. So yeah, I mean, I think DeFi is definitely very interesting. I'm kind of on the fence. I love DeFi. I think it's great technology, but I also feel like it's still the wild, wild west, from the flash loans to all kinds of other things happening almost every single week. It's pretty chaotic. So for that to be almost a safe haven during a chaotic time with the coronavirus is even more chaotic. But it is crypto. It is crypto,
right.
After all.
I'm looking at it less as Wild West than it could be sort of like rapid evolution, or and it could be too fast in some cases where you could have more problems. But it only takes one solution. I mean, people got to get liquidity. They got to get liquidity. I mean, the Fed can print all the money it wants to. No one's going outside for 90 days. I mean, that's what the market is pricing in. Okay, that's why we have a joke in the slide deck somewhere that Bill's a doctor now, right?
Yes, actually, we do as well. So let us know what you guys think. Once again, Menti code, menti.com. Code is 574301. That's 574301. So far, people are saying they would buy Bitcoin and Matic Network. Those seem to be the two coins people really are gravitating to. But let's get a lot more people involved with the polls. Okay, moving on to the next topic. So we've kind of covered this, right? So Bill thinks he's a doctor.
Well, anything else to add to that, here's the big question, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone's going to have a coronavirus case. I can tell you for the city of Houston, I'm in a suburb. The city of Houston this week got one test kit, and they can test between 200 and 500 people. Okay. Now, Houston is like the third biggest city in the United States. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm guessing if there's scattered cases and deaths related to it, and Italy is closed, like done. Mm-hmm. That by the time our administration admits that they screwed up, which they're starting to, they're saying the quarantine to stay home is 60 days. Now, the part where Bill thinks he's a doctor is it's going to take 6 weeks for everybody's symptoms to fully manifest and allow them to be tested. So 6 weeks is optimistic because, the healthcare system, it's not like you're going to be walking into Minute Clinic and they're going to say, oh, you've tested positive for the coronavirus. You're going to be in line at some hospital. It's going to be like, I don't know. It's like the Will Smith zombie movie, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. So by the time the medical thing plays out, you're looking at 60 days before they have to shut everything down. So I'm thinking, 45 days for the medical thing to play out and 60 days at home.
Yeah, because I was actually talking to my parents about it as well. I mean, how do you tell people to stay home and not leave their homes for 60 days? I feel like it's almost impossible. People will just break the rules and go out. I mean, because imagine if you haven't fully bought everything to last you 60 days. Or maybe you run out of toilet paper after 30 days. People are going to go out.
Well, I mean, here's okay. So here's how I'm thinking this through. In Italy, in Europe, they queue. They're used to waiting in line, right? So we're going to go from a government underreaction to a government overreaction, right? So most likely big box retailers are going to be food distribution points. I'm sure FEMA will also get involved. I don't think they're going to let you die of thirst or starve. Okay. But I do think, as you said, Americans are going to break the rules. And I know we have an international audience. So there's a huge difference between a Chinese communist government that can just shut down whole cities and throw people in jail with an IV bag and call that a hospital, whereas they can't do that in the United States.
Yeah.
Or can they? Or can they? Right?
I think
So-
I think they can if they declare like martial law, maybe.
Right,
But
right.
that's never
And so
really been
you
done.
are looking at martial law, I think, right? In other words,
Wow.
if Ian's like, how do people stay in their house for 60 days? Like, what would make you stay in your house? Well, probably a giant army truck out on the street.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stay away from something that looks like Godzilla's invading the city,
Mhm.
right? Where you see those scenes. But I'm phrasing it as we go from government underreaction to government overreaction. And I think that is what brings in crypto adoption, right? In other words, people are like, I don't know if PayPal is going to work. I don't know if my bank account's going to work. I don't know if I can get online, right? You know, the Bitcoin Cash blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain is going to continue to function. So literally, Mr. Market may pick the next Bitcoin in the next 2 weeks. So it's like the Kentucky Derby of crypto,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So when it's all going to go down 20%, if you pick the next winner, you know, you are the 100x guy in the crypto universe. This may be your 100x shot.
and that we do like. That we do
Right. When we like 100x, right?
like.
So, you know, people are going to be afraid, right? As I said, when this started, I don't have to talk about the virus. I mean, we have to talk about how long we can disrupt the supply chain. What I did talk about is how the virus affects people's behavior. Right now, we joked about how much does it cost to feed a family of 4. I saw some people in the grocery store the other day, and the woman had an entire shopping cart of detergent, giant bottles of detergent. And I was just wondering how she's going to eat the detergent for 90 days. Right?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so people haven't like fully grasped how to react, and legacy markets, which have been lobotomized by the Fed printing money, are now returning to things where they can signal reality. You used to look at markets and go, should I go to the grocery store or not? Oh, let me check the oil market. Ooh, down 10%. Ooh, God. But, you know.
Yeah. So speaking of oil, just to kind of get off topic, I did see on Instagram somebody was saying that just based on how the markets are now getting crushed, if Russia really wanted to kind of stick a fork in the US, they would just, I think, jack up their oil pricing, something like that. So how would oil impact the economy, especially in countries affected by coronavirus?
Right. So, I mean, what I think that they can do, I mean, again, I don't know about Russia, but, you know, obviously the United States as an oil producer is hurting other countries, right? Now, if Saudi Arabia wanted to put half our oil industry in bankruptcy, they could just drive oil down to the cost of production at $20 or $15 and leave it there. No, it's not $20 like Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think if Russia wanted to start something, they could make some sort of geopolitical or military move at the same time. Now, I mean, Donald Trump has certain skills, right? Most of them have to do with sort of talking and like entertainment value. But he doesn't have experience as like a commander in chief, right? That's
Mhm.
why I think you've had problems with the CDC. So if there's a problem with the Russians, it's going to be because they make some sort of geopolitical move. And this is even more tricky because it's on top of an election.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to punch the United States, either our oil industry or militarily, they're probably going to do it now.
All right. All right. Okay. It seems we're having issues with the stream again, but maybe we can call it we can wrap up this segment here.
Right. I can wrap up my segment. I think with crypto, if you've got any dry powder, you can pick the next Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin drops far enough, fast enough, I think Bitcoin may also be a buy if something ridiculous happens.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds
All
good,
right,
Bill.
Ian, thanks for having me on the show. Stay safe out there.
All right. Thank you. Will do. All right. So, do you guys still hear me? Let me know if we're having any technical issues with the live stream, because YouTube has been doing that a lot. It seems we have it back in business. Let me know in the comments below. Hey, what's up, Bernard? Great to have you here. Kingsley, why do you have a portrait of yourself on the wall? So this is a gift from somebody in Nigeria. So just crypto family. Hey, I mean, if somebody went through the effort of doing that, might as well, Then what's up, James? Great to have you here. How low can Ether go, Samir? Yes, we'll take a look at the predictions. Bill just left. Hash graph, bro. All right. Anyway, so now let's get into the other part of the live stream.
We just landed on the moon in the Lambo. Taking pictures with the zoom and the angle.
All right. People saying they can hear me loud and clear. That's great. Okay, all right. So time to look at cryptotherapy. So let's look at Bitcoin here. So let's go to token metrics. So for those who are customers, you may have seen in the last week or two, we've added 2 new features. This is something people have been asking for. So over here, we now have short-term trader and long-term investor options. So if you click those switches, the grades change drastically, right? So because we know, so for the traders, the grades change a lot more often, while obviously for long-term investor, it has a long-term focus. So today we're going to go through both ratings, both short-term trader and long-term investor. But let's first start with a long-term investment outlook, looking at crypto right now. So today is March 8th, 2020. So if you had to say, Ian, based on our research and token metrics, what are the best cryptocurrencies to invest at this point in time for the long term? So at this point in time, the list is pretty much the same. So we have Bitcoin, number 1 in rank, Ethereum, number 2, Dash, number 3, Zcash, number 4, Blockstack. Blockstack is number 5. This one is a sleeper. It's outside the top 100 in market cap, so definitely want to keep an eye on. Cosmos, number 6, Cardano, number 7, number 8 is Monero, and number 9, Binance, and Eternity is number 10. We have this as a sleeper. Market cap is 94. So in our opinion, these are the top 10 cryptocurrencies for the long term. Now let's switch over to being a trader. If you say, hey Ian, what's a good cryptocurrency for the short term, meaning for the next 1 week or so, or maybe even as a day trader? Let's say you're a day trader. So if we switch over here to short term, these are the best cryptocurrencies based on token metrics. So based on fundamentals, technology, and TA as well. So we have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin score is very, very high. So the price has dropped drastically. And token metrics, obviously not financial advice, is saying it thinks this is a great entry point. And if you think about it, in a way, it kind of does make sense because you want to buy low and sell high. And buying low means buying, you want to do the opposite of what other people do, right? Warren Buffett has that famous quote, buy when everybody else is fearful. And as you can see here, almost all of crypto is in the red. So people are fearful. So it's saying this is actually a good opportunity to buy. And this is one of the highest grades we've given for short-term trading for Bitcoin. That's why it's very high. So we have Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, we have Blockstack, we have Maker, number 4, Binance, number 5, Zcash, number 6, Matic Network, number 7, Cosmos, number 8, Halo chain is number 9, and Chainlink is number 10. So for the short-term trader, these are the cryptocurrencies that would make good trading opportunities. Okay, so let's drill into Bitcoin here. And let's go to the 30-day price predictions. Okay, so we have made a big change to the price predictions. At the moment, ignore the accuracies because we're thinking of a better way to calculate and display that to our audience. But now, if you guys can see from the past week, now this is different. Now we have the price predictions versus the actual price. Obviously, predicting prices in crypto because of the volatility is pretty hard to do, but we're still trying to. But the idea for this is really just to kind of give you an idea of where the trend is going. We are looking to improve those price predictions. So if we go to, let's begin January 2020. So yeah, I mean, obviously the coronavirus was not in the prediction model. so take it with a grain of salt. But the models, so we think in the next week or so, what's happening with coronavirus will then become factored into the model. The model, in a way, is kind of lagging, right? So as you can see here was pretty much following the same trend, but then this is really when coronavirus began happening. And then the model kind of lagging picked that up. And now Bitcoin has kind of gone down again. And the model has, for the most part, Bitcoin staying around 9,000 or so. But let's see, right? So it does take some time as we get more data for the models to update. But all in all, I mean, going back to the ratings, I think if we had to choose a list of 10 cryptocurrencies for both short-term and long-term, this would be the official list. Now, short-term, I would say time frame could probably be about a week or so. So yes, all of crypto can tank, but if you're thinking, okay, next week or so, or maybe even next month or so, these are cryptocurrencies that we think would be underpriced and would be good ones to rebound whenever crypto bounces back up. And then going back to the long term would be looking 1 year out and longer. These are the ones that we think would be good to have in your portfolio. All right, so let me stop there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which ones are you currently holding in your portfolio? Okay, let's take a look here. Crypto Secret Circle, what's up? Great to have you here. It's a pleasure. Okay. Amit says we can hear you loud and clear. Nice. Scott says, is now the time to stock up on Chainlink? I mean, we can't officially give you financial advice, but I mean, depends on your particular risk tolerance. Going through the ratings as a short-term trading opportunity, meaning anywhere from a week to maybe a month, it is a good trading opportunity. Long-term, I don't think it would be good to have in a portfolio long-term, but short-term, Chainlink has been doing well. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up. Somebody, I think King Nick is in our private professional group. He was joking that Chainlink has been a safe haven during these tough times. Let me see if I can pull up Chainlink. So it's only down 4% in the last 24 hours. But let's go to the technical analysis. Okay, so yeah, it's actually been very, very stable. I mean, in these tough times we've been in, it's gone from what, 316 to 344 or so to $4. So this has been pretty consistent in the last month or so, even with the coronavirus issues the markets have been having. So Chainlink has kind of been a safe haven, and Tokenmetrics AI was able to pick that up, which is pretty cool. So yes, that is pretty cool, I think. Okay, so let me take a few more questions here from our Tokenmetrics YouTube channel. What else? How low can Ethereum go? So let's pull up Ethereum. All right, so actually, let's switch over to short term because I'm guessing that kind of question you're thinking more as a trader. So Tokemetrics thinks this is a great opportunity to almost buy the dip. Obviously, not financial advice. This is just kind of the research. If we go to the technical analysis, yeah, Ethereum was basically 220, went all the way up to 280. And now it's back to 208. So Tokemetrics thinks, okay, this is really a good opportunity to buy the dip. Now, if we go to the price predictions, okay, so let's drill into 2020. Okay, all right. January data, there basically was an issue where the pricing data was kind of corrupted with some models. So we're in the process of fixing that. But for the most part, it's been predicting an upward trend. Now the actual price and for Ethereum has been going a lot higher than the model has predicted, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't think anybody would complain about that. But it has been predicting a positive trend. Now the trend, in a way, did start to decline around here, and the model hasn't picked that up yet. The model is almost in a way kind of smoothing things up, saying, so it thinks Ethereum is going to keep on going. So it's saying by April, it thinks Ethereum will be at 290. So right now, Ethereum is at 208. So maybe that's why the TA, or rather the short-term trading rating for Ethereum is pretty high. Maybe it anticipates that it's going to bounce back, especially with DeFi. But yeah, that's what the models say. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt. Machines can be wrong. Nothing is perfect, especially when we have almost in a way black swans that nobody really factored in. No model has factored in the coronavirus or the government cutting interest rates or what's going to happen if there's a 60-day quarantine, as Bill mentioned. So definitely take everything with a grain of salt. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's go back to the presentation here. So we've gone through crypto therapy. Okay, we have a question as well. So next question of the day. When will crypto mass adoption at the retail level, so point of sale devices level, when will that arrive? If you think it's going to happen this year, do you think it will happen in May, in July, in September, in November? Let me know what you guys think. And this was a question actually Bill had. He was thinking that if there's a legacy crash, people will gravitate to other assets, even crypto. Especially, like, imagine if the government just goes chaotic and people can't leave their homes for like 2 months. People are going to think it's almost the end of the world. Obviously, not to kind of speculate too much or exaggerate and say it's going to be the end of the world, because the death rate on coronavirus for people with healthy immune systems is pretty low, but markets do like to overreact. If anything, I personally think now is really a good time to be buying. I just finished reading the book called actually let me pull it up here, by Howard Marks. It's called The Most Important Thing, something like that. Actually, let me pull it up here online so you guys can pull it up. But I highly recommend this book. Not to overreact, but this is probably the best investment book I've read in a long time. Like, if there's anybody who's looking to become an investor, and they asked me, hey, which book would you get? This would be that book. So let me pull up the image of this. If Google can work. Why isn't Google working for me? Okay, just give me a minute here. Okay, yeah, so here's the book. It's called The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. So Howard Marks is a famous investor, one of the more famous investors out there, billionaire. So he made his money from investing in junk bonds and bonds that people viewed as risky. And he goes through his entire investment philosophy. So first of all, the quote on the book is from Warren Buffett. So this book is approved by Warren Buffett, who's one of the best investors of our time. He says, this is that rarity, a useful book. So uncommon sense for the thoughtful investor. And I finished this book in one day. That's how engaged I was in the book. Now, it was obviously an audiobook, and I was playing it at like 1.75x speed, but still, this is a very captivating book, and it really shows you how to be an investor in a chaotic world, and also how to go against the grain, how to make money being a contrarian, and also how to manage risk. So definitely a book I highly recommend. If anybody has read the book, let me know what you're thinking about the book as well. But I think it's a great book. But anyway, back to the question of the day. So when will crypto mass adoption at the retail and point of sale level arrive? Most people think November. So I think people are basically saying not anytime soon. So the furthest option was the answer. So going back to what Bill said, Bill was basically saying if people have to gravitate to DeFi, for example, to take out loans because there's a legacy crash and the bank won't give them a loan. I mean, that is a very interesting idea. If people gravitate to decentralized loans or decentralized lending because they don't trust legacy after there's a big crash. And I also find it interesting when he said that they could stop trading on the stock markets, which is something they've never done since 9/11. So if that happens, with the 24/7 news cycle and social media and Twitter, and then you add on they've been cutting interest rates and they expect them to cut more rates again. It's not a good look. Definitely not a good look. But anyway, I'll stop there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay. All right, let's see here. So once again, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please go to menti.com, menti.com, and use the code 574301. That's 574301. Okay, let's take a look here at the questions. Okay. Okay, hold on. So, all right, so here are the questions. All right, so let me know if you guys can see my screen. All right, so first question. Hey, Ian, do you think if Kin wins the SEC case, someone holding $3 billion in Kin token will smile? Not financial advice. Okay, okay. Oh, sorry. I think he means 3 billion in Kin token will smile. First of all, I don't think they're gonna win the case. That's the first statement I have. So sorry to bust your bubble, but it is just my opinion. But as somebody who's been following the SEC's security regulations and cases a lot, because you guys know I have a big interest in security tokens, and I put out the security token video a while back. But the SEC goes after you when they have a case. They don't like to go after you if they don't think it's a sure bet. But Kin did have some money. They are trying to make an example out of them. So, but in a hypothetical world, obviously, if they do win, that would be big for the industry because now we would have actual example. We would have an actual precedent, and we'll know exactly what is a security, what isn't a security. We'll know exactly what framework to follow to be compliant and win against the SEC, or to be able to show in in a court of law that this is X, Y, and Z. So if that were to happen, it would definitely be big for the space, but I don't think it's going to happen. But obviously, if you were to have 3 billion in kin tokens, you would definitely smile. I think that's a pretty straightforward question. Okay, Bill and Ian, do you see BTC bouncing now, then coming back down to 7,400 at 0.786? Okay, Bill did leave, but we did kind of share our thought on Bitcoin, right? So going back here to the short term Tokenmetrics is saying that this is really a great buying opportunity for Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean the price won't go down, but assuming you're somebody who wants to buy the dip on Bitcoin, well, what would you do? You would be buying it as it goes down, because Bitcoin has gone to 14,000 in the last 1 year or so. So if you think it's going to bounce back up, and Bitcoin is going down, if it goes down to 7,400, 6,000, you would be buying the dip, because you're basically buying at a discount. Because if you think Bitcoin is worth a lot more than that, then you would buy the red days when there's blood in the streets, because that's when you'll get the best deals. So it's almost counterintuitive. You almost want to, almost in a way, buy a falling knife, but that's if you fundamentally believe that it's going to go back up and it's underpriced and people are selling just to sell and get out. So yeah, I think that's basically my take on it. Bill did do his TA as well, so I'm not sure if he answered your question during the TA, but if not, we'll come back next week and revisit. Okay, all right, next question. Okay, all right, so this is a very interesting question. All right, so the question is, do you have any insight on the Steemit drama going on now? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I just listened to the podcast from Laura Shin from Forbes. Not sure if she still works with Forbes, but the Unchained podcast or Unconfirmed podcast, whichever one it is, where they had somebody from CoinDesk who covered the whole fiasco with Steemit and Justin Sun and Tron. So just to kind of recap, obviously I'm not really a Steemit expert, but the issue at hand is Justin Sun purchased Steemit, which is a company that is probably the largest contributor or developer for the Steemit blockchain and ecosystem. Now, Steemit is a blockchain that's decentralized, supposedly, in nature, meaning that nobody really controls it. But similar to how you have Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Foundation, and how you have Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation, with Steemit, you can have any entity that can come along and contribute to their blockchain, because it's open source. So, but Steemit, the company, is the largest contributor, and they own a large amount of tokens. So they had this almost handshake deal with the ecosystem, the Steemit community, that they would not use their tokens or cryptocurrency, Steem, for voting. So that way they couldn't just be a whale who would just kind of unfairly vote for whatever they need. And then they go along, Ned, the founder of Steemit, I believe, he basically cashes out. He sells the company to Justin Sun of Tron, who comes in and says, hey, all right, this is a great social media platform. For those who don't know, Steemit is kind of like a cross between Medium and Reddit, where you can publish content and vote on it. And people who write content on there earn the cryptocurrency Steem in exchange, which is kind of a way to get paid for creating content. So he wants to get that and integrate that into the Tron ecosystem. Tron is the blockchain protocol that Justin Sun and his team own. So they've been buying different companies out there in social media. They bought, I think, DLive and some others. So they think social media is the way to make the Tron protocol get bigger, because they got video, now they have Steemit. And when that happened, Steam is a delegated proof of stake blockchain, meaning that it's not fully decentralized. So as opposed to Bitcoin, that where anybody in Bitcoin can be a miner, anybody in Ethereum can mine, they delegate. You can only have X amount of people on the blockchain that have the right to vote and make decisions. It's kind of like having a Congress. So they delegate. I'm not sure what the exact number is. Maybe somebody can let me know in the comments below. But I think they had like 22. I think it took like 22 people. Because once the Steemit community saw that Justin Sun bought Steemit, they thought that he was going to try to integrate that into Tron and basically mess everything up. So my understanding is the community got together, and it took a very few amount of people. So they have what they call witnesses, which is basically people that have large amounts of steam that can make decisions. So these are the people that have been nominated or delegated to represent the Steemit community. So they had, I think, about 22 people or so who then come in and did a soft fork, basically boxing out Justin Sun and the Steemit cryptocurrency and their stake so that they couldn't make any changes for the time being on the Steem blockchain. So Justin Sun must have been pissed off, because if he just bought Steemit and he's like, why are you guys going to, what he calls, hack my crypto? Because now his crypto couldn't be used to make changes, because he thought he legally purchased the crypto and owned it from purchasing Steemit. So why can he not vote with what is legally his? And from a legal perspective, yes, it does make sense, right? I mean, it was kind of like almost say a coup, because the community didn't really want to, I guess, work together with. Well, actually, I'll take that back. They did the soft fork to wait until a meeting they were supposed to have, I think later in March or sometime in the future, with Justin, to hear him out before they would really kind of give him back access to whatever. But Justin Sun then says, you know what, man, this is legally mine. And obviously Justin Sun is famous, influential. So he gets into cahoots with exchanges. So he obviously owns Poloniex, because they also bought that as well. Then he reaches out to Binance and Huobi and tells them, hey, I was hacked, make this upgrade on the Steemit blockchain. And the upgrade is basically kicking out all the other witnesses to then use the Steem on exchanges on Huobi, Binance, and Poloniex to vote in people he wants to delegate as witnesses. And the community did not like this at all. And then CZ has been on Twitter apologizing, and so have some other exchanges as well, saying, hey, they didn't know this was happening, so they're gonna unstake the Steem or take away their vote. But the issue is, taking away the vote takes 13 weeks, I believe, because I think you can only unstake, like, because once you put up your Steem to vote, it's basically locked up, and you can only stake like every week or so. So it will take the exchanges up to, I think, 13 weeks for them to fully get their customers' Steem that they used to vote back to unvote. So anyway, it's chaos basically. So what is my take on that? I mean, I think it's drama, but I think the main issue at hand is delegated proof of stake is being roasted online. I mean, because lots of other projects have delegated proof of stake. So this same thing could happen where whales come in and do something that the community doesn't like, and then they really have to now fight with the community. Because with Steemit, it only took like 20-something witnesses to really dominate and take over the blockchain. So EOS has the same issue. I mean, even MetaHash has the same issue as well. But I think the main thing to look at is what is the cost? How much capital does it need for somebody to get a controlling share, or to have a large enough share to be able to vote for whatever they want? Because with Bitcoin, it's fully decentralized, and I mean, it's hard to attack Bitcoin. But as we're getting into proof of stake protocols and blockchains, this is something that has to really be thought of, especially those that have a delegated or finite amount of people, whether it's block producers with EOS or with Steemit. I think delegated proof of stake is definitely on the fire. My take is it might not last as in its current form. I think it has to evolve to show better governance for issues like this that could arise in the future. But yeah, I mean, that's my take. I know it's kind of rambling, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Anybody here holding Steemit? Peter says, I love your job, man. You are so cool. Thank you for coming to Nairobi. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Thank you. Jumbo, my brother. I think, hold on, what's the term? Jumbo and Asante? Asante Sana? I'm not sure if my Swahili is correct, but if that translates, thank you. Yeah, I think Asante Sana means like thank you. And Jumbo is hello. Okay, Crypto Secret says, yeah, Crypto Secret Circle says, I think stocks are going to continue getting wrecked this week. Yeah, I mean, that would definitely be unfortunate if that happens. That would definitely be unfortunate. I mean, but if that does happen, though, I think what Bill says is possible. I think they would have to halt trading, which is something that hasn't been done in a while here in America. I'm not sure about global markets, but I would think so as well. I don't think China halted trading or Hong Kong did. But speaking of Hong Kong is getting hit the hardest because they had the protests, then they've gone through their first recession in over 10 years, and now the coronavirus. I mean, this might become a depression, which is back-to-back quarters of economic decline or decline in the GDP. Peter says, haha, great, your Swahili is in check. Nice, yeah. So my dad speaks fluent Swahili. So that's where I kind of learned from him. Verite Migraine says, yes, I hold Steemit. That's nice. Is that Chantal? If that's Chantal, hey, how are you? Great to see you here. Okay, let's go back to the AMA here with our audience. Okay, so we already answered the Ether question. Okay, so how good is SNX token, which is synthetics, after they enabled Ether as collateral? That's definitely a fundamental change in the project. So, I mean, I think it would definitely, the fundamentals would improve. But going off of what we have here in token metrics, let's pull it up. So short term, it's not so good. Not the worst, but not so good. TA is good, but fundamentals and everything else from the model weights aren't so good. If we go to long term, so long term is a better investment. But short term, if you're looking to trade it this week or in the next month or so, not really a good pick. But if we're looking at the long term, okay, let's see here. Yeah, long term is not really so good at the moment. Sorry, long term is a better investment than short term. So we have it as 23rd. Now, we're always looking for ways to evolve and to provide better ratings. So one thing we have been thinking of, this is something that will take a long time. So this is kind of like, not quite a moonshot, but it's far out. It's thinking of ways to do fundamental analysis and crypto asset valuations without even having to look at, or rather looking at purely just on-chain data, on-chain metrics. So there are metrics out there like network value to transaction ratio, and some other metrics out there. So I think the future fundamental score would probably involve looking into on-chain data. but not every protocol has on-chain data, or looking into number of active addresses for dApps and other projects like that. But that's kind of a tangent. But sorry, back to your question. Long term, I think it's a better investment than trading it right now. So long term, not not the best, it's not the worst, if that makes sense. Okay, I have Steam that I bought at a high price in 2017, but I'm beneficial on Steam as I sold most of it at the end of 2017. Have you heard of Onyx Coin from Nairobi? If so, what do you think of it? No, I've not heard of it, unfortunately. I've not heard of that. Yes, okay, that's great. I think she means yes, that's Chantal. Great to have you here. Saying many thanks, I appreciate this new feature. Thank you, thank you. Okay, all right, let's go on to the next question here in the AMA. Okay, the tokenomic, I think it means the token economy of Matic is a deflationary system with a token burn on top of that. Sounds like a real good deal, but how many tokens would they burn? At what frequency? Any idea? Okay, I mean, I think for that you would have to look up the Matic network emission schedule, which is probably going to be in their white paper. So let me take a look here. Matic network emission schedule. Okay, yeah. Give me a minute here as I try to see if we can find it. All right, so here's the white paper. So let us see, network economics, maybe this is it. Okay, now I do like the format of the white paper. It is nice. Let's see. Okay, it will take some time to look that up. But anyway, back to your question. So without answering the question directly, I mean, I think to sum up, if you think it's a good idea, that would mean the token is a good idea. So I think we can just look at what Tokenmetrics says for Matic Network. So long term, we think it's a good project. It's in our top 10. So it's one of the top 10 projects to hold. And if you look at that relative to its market cap is 77 and the rank is 10. So it's very, very undervalued. So as a value investor, you would be getting a lot of bang for your buck in Matic Network. So the book I talked about earlier by Howard Marks is really a book about value investing. And how do you define value investing? Value investing doesn't necessarily mean quality, which is something people kind of misunderstand about it. And that's what the book kind of clarified to me as well. Something can be fundamentally garbage, but still have value. I mean, actually, that's why you have that famous quotation, right? Somebody else's trash is somebody else's treasure. So what do I mean by that? Something can be, for example, a shitcoin with, let's say it has a market cap of 1 million, but its actual value should be like 3 million. So it, meaning that yes, it's no good, but it's still underpriced relative to the market, relative to other shitcoins, for example. And then going back to the example of Matic Network having value, Matic Network's market cap is 77. And Tokenmetrics is saying that we think this is a top 10 investment at this point in time for the long term. So if anything, you can view it as it should be top 10 in market cap. So if you take if you do a ratio, so if you take so market cap of 77 with tokenomics rank of 10, right? So the higher the ratio, the better, right? Meaning that this is a very undervalued project. So with that being said, I mean, we think it's great. So now if we go to the short term we liked it as well. Short term is 7th. So I mean, I know we talk about Matic a lot on this channel, but I mean, that's because it's a good project. Obviously, do your own research. But going back to your question now, right? So it sounds like a real good deal. So yes, we do think Matic is undervalued. We think that relative to where it is, relative to other cryptocurrency projects, it is a good investment. Now, that's without looking at the token burn and all that stuff they have. Now, they are also launching their own proof of stake. So I think that would really incentivize people to HODL even more. And long term, we're also looking into, so I mentioned earlier about being able to use on-chain data to do fundamental analysis and valuations of crypto assets. I think if we can even add in staking, almost kind of like dividends and yield returns into our analysis, that would make things even better. So being able to give more weight to let's say 2 cryptocurrencies are even in terms of our ratings, but the other one has proof of stake, and you can earn 10% annually for staking that or holding that. I think that definitely makes that an even more attractive cryptocurrency. So all these are things that will take time. It might even require us to almost in a way redo everything we have, because I have been looking a lot into factor-based investing, and I'll cover that if you guys have an interest in that. But going back to your question without kind of rambling too much, we do think Matic is a good project. Without even looking at all these changes they're making, just looking at what we currently have, we think it's a good project. Okay, let me take some questions from the Tokenomics YouTube channel here. What's your view on Tezos and their proof of stake method? Also, I believe they are able to evolve and update through their community. So, good question. Okay, so here, let me pull this up here. So the question was about Tezos from Scott. So Scott is saying, what do we? Let me just repeat the question for everybody. What's your view on Tezos and their proof of stake method? I think it's great. So a few weeks ago, I did go through and read Tezos' proof of staking, because they've been one of the better projects out there to get they have almost 80% of their community is staking. And I think that's primarily because they've been able to get all the large exchanges on board. So Coinbase, Binance. Here, I'll just pull up Tezos staking so you guys can take a look. And I think it's really something all the other projects can really model after. So for instance, you can stake with a Ledger hardware wallet. You can stake with Coinbase. You can stake with a bunch of different other wallets as well. Binance as well, I think, has Tezos staking. So if we pull, this is stakingrewards.com. So looking at this, so right now the ratio, the returns are pretty low. You earn about 5.63%, I believe, according to this. But almost 80%, 79.51% has been staked. I mean, 8 out of 10 people are staking Tezos. And I think that's because they've been able to get all the big players to integrate with their staking mechanism. And I think that's really, really good. And I think it's something other products can learn. It's probably tougher for them to emulate because not everybody might have, because Tezos did raise a bunch of money. They raised, I did invest in their ICO back in 2017. They raised over 100 million. I think it depends on what the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum was at whatever time you value it, but they raised over $100 million. And it's been one of the better performing projects in the last few years. So looking at this, the annual reward for baking Tezos is 6.2%, while delegating is 5.63%. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a good model to follow. Sorry, going back to the question here. Because he says, I also believe they are able to evolve and update through their community. Yes, so governance is something Tezos was built to do well on. Initially, I did joke that they had governance issues when they were a governance blockchain protocol because their Swiss Foundation, I think the chairman or the person in charge of that was disagreeing with Tezos, the company, and he kind of held them hostage. But it does seem they have gotten past that, and it has been performing well recently. If we pull that up here on token metrics, let's see where it ranks. So when it comes to short-term trading, we have it 23rd in terms of rank. When it comes to long-term, it's 32nd. So it's not quite the best at this point in time, but that could change. But, I mean, it has performed well, and it was higher some time back. But at the moment, if anything, it's saying that this is really overpriced, actually. But let's revisit in the next week or two. But I mean, in terms of their staking, I think their staking model is a model that can be followed by lots of other projects. Okay, all right. So back to the AMA. Okay, I'm a huge Matic network guy, staking mainnet, Google, Coinbase Pro partnerships soon, but I'm hearing Neo is going to have a huge comeback. Any insider info on Neo? They are a very quiet project. Unfortunately, no insider information from Neo. I don't have any intel or communications with the Neo team. But if we do look at them here, if we look at Neo, so long term is 20th in market cap. So, and also 20th in our token metrics rank. So if anything, this is a good valuation. It's a good, we think at this point in time it's decent. Obviously not top 10, but it's not really a bad investment per se. Then trading wise, we think it's actually higher. So right now it's possibly a good trading opportunity. But I mean, so the issue I've had with Neo in the past is the marketing has always been ahead of their development, but it seems now they've kind of slowed down on the marketing. And this was just from me talking to developers building on Neo. So from Phantasma to other projects, I didn't really meet a Neo developer who was happy building on Neo. Let's just say that. But that was probably over a year ago. I mean, times do change. So I know they are in the process of launching Neo 3.0. So very curious to see how that is received by the community and how good the technology is with that change. But I mean, so far, Neo is a decent project. I mean, I think we can now we can say that. Okay, so back here to the question. Okay, we did. Okay, so you want me to take a look at Neo again? We kind of, okay, so let's go to a deeper dive on Neo, since it seems people have are either holding a huge bag of Neo. Okay, I mean, so the grade is okay. If we go to the TA, I mean, it's been on the decline, so that's why it has it here as neutral. If we go to the performance metrics, so versus Bitcoin, it's been underperforming. So, I mean, yeah, since January 2018, it's lost 92% of its value, while Bitcoin has only lost 16%. So I mean, you definitely would have been better off holding Bitcoin. And then if we go to some of the other performance metrics, let me take a look. Which ones do I think would be a valid? Okay, so in the last month, so month to date though, it is on the rise. So it's up 30% in the month. So it's been basically following Bitcoin in the last month. Then let's take a look here. Yeah, I mean, so Neo is making a comeback according to this in the last month or so. If we go to predictions, let's go to January. Okay, I mean, so this is kind of behind. As mentioned, ignore the accuracy because we're going to try to find a better way to calculate that. Okay, so I mean, so since February, it was trending upward, a lot higher than the predictions. And then basically this week it just kind of fell off a cliff. I'm guessing something to do with China. I haven't been following the news on Neo, but I'm guessing when all crypto, I guess basically coronavirus, I would assume. But now then it kind of bounced up. Then in the last week in March it did correct as well. But I mean, for the most part, the model thinks it's going to be at $13.61 in April. Obviously, the model has been kind of smoothed out, so it's not so quick to react with all these volatile changes and the volatile times we're in right now at the moment. But I mean, things aren't looking so bad for Neo. I mean, so hopefully that helps. That makes you feel good. Okay, next question. Is there any form of correlation between Ethereum price and the growth of DeFi, since most of them are using Ethereum blockchain? Good question. I mean, so I have not personally looked and compared to see if there's a correlation, but we can look up. If we go to DeFiPulse.com, let me just close some of these windows here. So DeFiPulse.com, this is a good site to track what's happening in DeFi. So if we switch this to the last 90 days, okay, it's already there. So DeFi rose from 650 million or so, and it peaked at 1.2 billion, and now it's at 870 million. So and then, so when it comes to dominance, the most dominant protocol or cryptocurrency is Maker. So that's the Maker token, which is one we are pretty bullish on. Okay, but anyway, back to your question. So DeFi has lost about 300 million or so. Now, if we go and compare with Ethereum, so I think, yeah, let's look at the technical analysis here. Okay, so actually here we only have up to February. Okay, I have to talk to my team. This should be going back up to 1 year. But anyway, okay, so I think it's kind of been going hand in hand, because Ethereum peaked at around 280 and now it's back down to 209. And this happened in the last 2 months. So if we do 30 days, yeah, I mean, so it is kind of going hand in hand, right? So yeah, the peak here was 1.2 billion on February 14th. And if we go to Ethereum, February 14th, the high was 284. So textbook. I mean, right? So it is going hand in hand, which does make sense. I mean, thinking about it logically. And then this is the lowest the DeFi has been in the last 30 days at 877 million. And this is also the lowest Ethereum has been in the last 30 days. So, yeah, to answer your question, Ethereum and DeFi are basically correlated, which obviously makes sense because you need Ethereum to do DeFi. And I think it's really kind of something to keep in mind, right? Because as DeFi grows and gets bigger and bigger, we can then expect Ethereum to get bigger and bigger, obviously. And I think that's really one of the main reasons why I'm very bullish on Ethereum possibly and probably surpassing Bitcoin in market cap in the year 2030. So in the next 10 years, I think Ethereum is going to go on a run. Because as DeFi gets bigger and bigger, the developer community is going to gravitate to Ethereum over Bitcoin. I mean, we even have wrapped Bitcoin on DeFi. I mean, so do you really need Bitcoin for DeFi? Not really at the moment. So I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Okay, let's see here. Comments on our Tokenmetrics channel. What Samir says, one of the good things of Neo 3 roadmap will be built-in oracles within Neo that allow smart contracts to access internet resources during execution. Okay, that's interesting. So kind of like Chainlink. So basically building their own Chainlink. Cheers again for the analysis, Ian. Getting late here in Europe. Okay, thank you, Scott. Have a good night. Great to have you on. Okay, all right. So let's, if you're liking the live stream, be sure to subscribe and give a like and share. And also be sure to check out our podcast and leave us a nice review. Okay, next question here. Okay, will Cody crash anytime soon? Unfortunately, that I do not know. But I mean, I would definitely be concerned. As somebody who invested in Cody, we don't have it in here yet in our system. Now, apologies. We've been making some changes on some things, so we've kind of been focused on the tech in the last few months or so, and just kind of fixing bugs. I mean, so from a TA standpoint, short term, it was. I mean, this was a nice ladder, very nice ladder. Then correction, pullback, then ladder as well. Oh man, okay, so it's been marching. I mean, through these tough times we're in. So will it crash anytime soon is the question. I mean, from a TA perspective, it's neutral, right? So we can't really say at the moment. It's kind of a wait and see. So if you're holding, just wait and see. If you're on the sidelines, wait and see. Obviously, that's just kind of our take, not any kind of investment advice. But right now, it's kind of a wait and see approach. Okay, about securities. Next is a security and compliant. Also, Neo's proud to be compliant. These two are way underrated and are leading the way. Next, we did look into Next. It wasn't one we liked at the moment. Obviously, it was just our opinion. Next is Nash. I'm assuming you're talking about that one. Yeah, Next. So, long terms, we would, and long term and short term, we wouldn't really be holding it ourselves based on our analysis and research. But I mean, okay, so you're saying because so okay, so let me kind of go and kind of talk about what I covered earlier. So going back to that book, I highly recommend you guys check out that book, The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks. It's for professional and new investors. It speaks to everybody across the spectrum as an investor. And I think you have to differentiate between value investing and quality. Now, as an investor, yes, you do have to look at all of them. But what you're saying here in this question, right? You're saying because of securities regulation compliance, next is underrated, and then you're saying the same thing in terms of Neo. So when you start talking about something being underrated, that's value investing, right? Meaning that something is underpriced. While these things you mentioned about being securities and compliant, and basically anything to do with regulation, is really something that deals with quality. So, which is a different way of investing. Now, yes, something can be of quality, meaning that they've gone through all the compliance, regulation, and everything, but still not be a good value investment. Meaning that it's not underpriced. Because let's take a best example I can really hit home with this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is great quality. I mean, the technology on Bitcoin is the best out there. I mean, nobody's complaining that the quality of Bitcoin is not there. The quality of Bitcoin is there. But as a value investor, Bitcoin can be overpriced because, I mean, for example, when Bitcoin went to $20,000 in January 2018 and 2017, as a value investor, it was overpriced. It wasn't underrated at that point. It was overrated. That's why there was a huge correction. One other example is Tesla. I mean, Tesla has been going bananas, and nobody is saying Tesla is not a good quality car company. I mean, the technology is great. The quality is there, but it wasn't underrated. It was overrated. I mean, everybody was talking about buying Tesla. So going to your question, I mean, in our opinion, we don't think it's underrated. We think, if anything, it's overrated. Now, that's not saying anything about the quality of the company, right? The quality can be good, right? Because obviously they're compliant, so they must have been doing something right. But in terms of where it is in market cap, we'll still think it can go lower, right? But obviously that's just our opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. We can't be wrong. Just because we have analytics and data, that doesn't mean we're always right. But I mean, in our opinion, we think the value, we don't think it's underrated. We think if, despite their market cap or wherever they are, Binance is still a better investment in our opinion, right? And I think that's something that is shown in our ratings. Because let me share my screen here. So if we pull up BNB, as a short-term trader, it's fifth in our tokenmetrics rank, and as a long-term investor, it's 11th. So if we then look at next, comparing it to Binance, which is this one, Nash Exchange. Let me just type Nash to make it easier. So even with a small market cap, we don't think it's a good place to park your money, long-term or short-term. Either way, we think you're better off putting your money in Binance. So kind of going back to the point I was talking about, we still think Binance is, despite having high market cap, the quality is obviously there, but the value, we think Binance is still underpriced. And Binance launched Binance Cloud. So that's kind of the perspective we're coming from, looking at it as a value investor. And I talk about value investing because it seems that's what you were talking about in your question. So just kind of wanted to kind of clarify that. But curious to see what other people think. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you. Okay, let me take a look here. All right, so how are we doing? Coming to 8, so it's been almost 2 hours. Okay, somebody says, if crypto drops 20%, I would buy Zcash and Ethereum. Okay, that's good to know. Let's take a look at Zcash. Okay, Zcash is definitely a good opportunity short term. We think it's a good time to possibly buy the dip. Long term, we like Zcash as well. So good call on that. And Ethereum, of course, is Ethereum. So no need to even talk about that. You guys already know. Okay. Okay, people have jokes. Okay, RSR. Let's take a look here. RSR. Okay, reserve rates. Short term, not quite there. Long term, not quite there as well. So, I mean, I know lots of people talk about RSR, reserve rights, as a stablecoin. Right now, we don't think it hasn't really been there for us. But if we compare it to DAI, we think DAI is much better. Right? Actually, hold on, sorry. RSR is not a stablecoin. RSR is because it's a 2-token model. You have RSR, then RSV, I believe, but that's not trading anywhere yet. But if anything, if you're going to go for a 2-token model, I mean, if you look just going for a stablecoin, in our opinion, the best stablecoin out there is DAI, long term. I am a DAI holder. Somebody did pay me back for dinner in DAI, so I'm officially a DAI holder. But anyway, yeah, I think DAI is definitely. Let's take a look at Maker. So Maker is the 2-token model with DAI. Now Maker, we have been pretty bullish on that. Looking at it from a short-term perspective, it's a good opportunity, chance to enter here. And long-term, it's kind of fallen, but it's 26th. But it's decent. I mean, so basically, when this turns very bullish, it's going to be a good opportunity to really get in. But definitely want to keep an eye on. Okay, Samir says Coinbase has invested into RSR, which is DeFi. Yes, so Coinbase did invest, Peter Thiel did invest, so they definitely do have big names backing them. Okay, let me go through here and quickly see if we can filter any of the others. Okay, all right. There's some jokesters we have in the questions today. Okay, so are you bullish on Chromia? Chromia, okay. I don't believe we finished that officially. Chromia. I mean, so I was an investor in Chromia. I mean, we haven't finished the fundamentals on this, but I mean, long story short, the project has been underwhelming. So I don't really think I would say we're bullish on it long term, just kind of based on somebody who's been an investor and following the project for the last 2 years or so. I mean, they've changed terms on investors, changed the vesting schedule, like on a whim, whenever they feel like it. So, I mean, I'm personally not bullish, just kind of looking at it from that perspective. Okay, and it's pumping. Why is it pumping? Honestly, I don't know why it's pumping. Yeah, so I can't even speculate on why it's pumping. Maybe possible exchange listing or something. I don't know. But hey, I mean, I'll take it because I have been looking to cash out. Okay. Nash Exchange gives 75% of its profits to people who stake their Next tokens. Next is a security token with BTC trading and purchasing coming to Nash, the DEX. What do you think I mean, so we already kind of covered this, so we're gonna have to move on this. Sovereign update. When moon. Okay, I mean, so what I can say, I'm not sure if this is public yet, but obviously people know Sovereign is an American company. They did raise equity a few years back. So right now they're just kind of this is from equity investors I have spoken with. They've told me that they're looking to be as compliant as possible when it comes to issuing their token or cryptocurrency with the Securities and Exchange Commission. So they have been in communication with them, some back and forth. Nothing like no official public statement. So, I mean, if I were to speculate, I think maybe they might go the Reg A+ route, similar to Blockstack and Props project, because being in America, that might be the only way to go. But I mean, not sure at this point. So, in terms of when will it moon, I mean, it's not trading anywhere yet. But I mean, with that being said, though, it was a project that is on our radar, right? I mean, we think it's a project definitely worth keeping an eye out. It is on our watch list. For our customers, if they go to the IEO section, obviously the IEOs haven't really been happening in the last, at least this year. So, but if you go to, this is for anybody who has the investor plan or higher. I think even hardware plan might have access to this. Actually, yeah, just give me a second here. I should know this. Yeah, so anybody with a hardware plan or higher has access to this. So you will have access to IEOs. So we do have our rating for it for the long term under the IEO section. But I mean, we think that it's going to take a while for people, or rather, it's going to take a while for them to really issue their token because it's an American-based company and there isn't much guidance and clarity around security tokens and also just cryptocurrency in general with the SEC. And they've been issuing lots of judgments recently. So I don't think there's a moon anytime soon. But even if they do issue a cryptocurrency after they've figured out how to do it with the SEC, I don't really recommend anybody go out there and just blindly buy. I think, if anything, it takes wait and see approach, especially if they do an IEO or if they go straight to exchange listing, and then wait for the hype to die down and wait for it to become underpriced as a value investor. So basically, have it bottom down, because most IEOs pump then crash over the course of a week or a month. So I would say anywhere from a few months to maybe 3 months or 90 days when you have enough exchange price action to then see, okay, this is where maybe it has possibly bottomed out, and then start to accumulate. But obviously not financial advice. That's just kind of my thought process of how I would play it. All right. Next question. Okay. Going through here. Yes, just so okay, next. Okay, so this person is saying, any light on I Learn Finance? Yes. So this is something somebody was sharing with me recently. This is a DeFi project. Let me pull it up here. Just give me a minute to pull it up. Actually, if I can. Okay, it's taking me a while to pull this up here. Anybody know the website? Somebody had sent this to me, but I'm not able to find this here live. Do you guys have the site for iEarn? I thought it would be in my history. If I... Okay, sorry guys, just give me a moment here. Okay, Samir says Ether is crashing. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I found it. All right, so back to the question. So, any light on I Earn Finance? So, he's talking about this website, iearn.finance. Yeah, I think it's definitely very interesting. So, my understanding is this is meant to really aggregate and make it easier to participate in DeFi. So, you have basically 4 different categories here. So, you have Earn. So, you can connect your wallet. I don't have a wallet now to connect. And you earn. Okay, yeah. I can't even demo it because. Yeah, okay. So, I won't be able to demo much. Maybe let's go to the docs here. Okay, so basically, I mean, they aggregate different platforms like Compound. They used to have Fulcrum until the flash loan thing happened, so they took that down. DYDX, AVE, DDX. So all these are basically DEXs. Compound is pretty cool. So, I mean, I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I've not personally used it, so I can't really comment much. But I know King Nick, who's in our private group, he did talk about this. He actually shared with us how he was using this. But what I can recommend, however, are go to DeFiTutorials.com. This is a great DeFi site to just learn about DeFi. So go through and read all the guides they have. So Introduction to DeFi, DeFi Zap, which is one of the tools available here on iEarn, the Zaps. So so a Zap is really a smart contract that aggregates and does different things and turns them into just one transaction. So if you want to, for example, take out a loan from Compound, then use that on DYDX to short Ethereum. As opposed to having to send multiple transactions, you can just do one Zap that does everything in one batch. So definitely recommend, if you have an interest in that, to check that out. Then here you have the different tutorials on the Zaps. You have some Zaps for lending, for being a moderate. I think Zaps are definitely very, very interesting and are really giving a better understanding of how DeFi can really scale without having to know all the different technical, intricate details that nobody really wants to bother with, right? So in this example, okay, I guess this is an example, but anyway, check out DeFi Tutorials, and this is a Substack I am subscribed to. I also recommend you subscribe to this as well, just to kind of keep an eye on DeFi. All right, on to the next question. Okay. I mean, Nash, we have enough questions for Nash, unfortunately. So gonna have, I mean, so I already shared my thoughts on that. I think Binance is a better exchange than Nash and even Token. Okay, so this person asking, is Matic Network a blockchain technology or a token? They will have their mainnet on March 31st. What does that mean? So Matic Network is a layer 2 protocol. I mean, similar to like a sidechain. So they run on top of Ethereum. It's an infrastructure project. So in a way, they're also like the plumbing. You have the Ethereum virtual machine. Then they run their own protocol on top of that that helps Ethereum applications scale faster and run faster. So one way of thinking about it is Ethereum is like your computer, your laptop, while Matic Network is the software, the second layer. So it's like Windows or Linux or iOS, right? And then the application is like Microsoft Word, Chrome, or whatever is the software running on the OS. So you kind of how you have the application stack, or I mean, sorry, the computer stack. Let me find this here. This will be a better example. Okay, give me a second here. Okay. I'm trying to find a good image on this computing layers. Okay, so here's a good example. It takes me back to my computer engineering days. So this is really the the computing layer? What's the OSI model? It's called. So just to kind of get geeky with you guys. So you have the physical layer, then the data link, then network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. Actually, that's not the best example to use. Right, so here's a different example. So you have the hardware, firmware, assembler, kernel, OS, application. Actually, let me OSI layers. Yeah, this might be a better one. Okay, so once you understand this, then it's better to understand how blockchains and infrastructure work, right? So at the physical layer, this is called the OSI model. So at the physical layer, you have your coax cable, fiber cables, wireless hubs, repeaters. Then data link, you have Ethernet and switches and bridges. Then you keep on going up. Then networking, you have packets, IP. So all the way up here till you reach the application layer. So HTTP is how your browser communicates. All right, then you have FTP. So this is the OSI model. Then we also have one for blockchain. So we'll call this blockchain layers. Let me see if I can find a good. Okay, hold on. Just give me a second here, guys. Okay, maybe this is. Anyway, this is taking longer than expected. But anyway, I mean, so back to your question. So Matic is really a layer on top of Ethereum, right? So this is kind of like the blockchain stack or layer. There was an article I read a while back that did a good job of explaining it. Actually, yeah, so here, I think I might have found something that could suffice. Okay, so here we have. Okay, so here's an example, but this isn't quite what I was looking for. But so we have applications, so the dApps on top, then you keep on going down a layer, and all these, so that the layer above sits on the or builds upon the layer beneath it. All right, so this infrastructure layer builds beneath or builds on top of a protocol like Ethereum or Bitcoin or something else. Right? So this portion is kind of what Matic is doing. They build on top of Ethereum. One of the example is Riff, which builds on top of Rootstock. So anyway, but you're saying, what does that mean? So they're launching, it's basically their own protocol is going live with a mainnet, meaning that it will be live in production, that people can use it. And it's no longer in beta or in test mode or in a test phase. It's fully live and functioning. Once it's live, it's been deployed to the network. You can't really undeploy it. I mean, it's going to be live and decentralized. And then from there, anytime they want to make changes or upgrades, they have to have a consensus between their community ecosystem, the stakers, and all that. So hopefully you make sense of that. I know it's kind of all over the place. Okay, all right. Let's see, what are the questions we have here? Okay, all right. So let me. How do I? Okay, just closing voting. So this will be the last questions, and then we can call it a day. Okay, so voting is now officially closed. Back to the question. All right. What are your thoughts on the US catching up to other countries regarding blockchain innovation? Good question. Good question. I mean, I think the US has been taking a very conservative approach. I mean, as somebody who's traveled to, I mean, on our crypto world tour, we did 35 countries in 12 months in 2018. And I've been to lots of crypto events all over the world. America has been very, very conservative. I think it's both good and bad. I mean, because obviously we saw what happened with ICO scams and crypto scams. So they've always been trying to protect the American investor. However, they're now hampering innovation. And I think even the regulators see that themselves. That's why Hester Pierce, the SEC commissioner, put out a safe harbor proposal, right? Basically saying that they realize that they have to figure out a way to regulate and give guidance to startups while not hampering innovation. So I think they definitely recognize that themselves. My take is, I think change is coming. Change is slow, but I think change is coming. And I think when the SEC down the road officially comes up with a framework to guide entrepreneurs and projects and developers and anybody who wants to partake and be part of cryptocurrency and this ecosystem, once they give us like a blueprint that says, okay, this is how to do it in a legal fashion, I mean, to the moon and beyond. But I think it's going to take a while. I just listened to a podcast. Once again, it was by Laura Shin on Unchained, because she has two podcasts, but she had one with Hester Pierce on there. And they said it takes a while because typically the typical process takes 60 to 90 days to get public comments. Then they go back and they make changes. Now her position will be, or I guess her term will be finished this year. It's for 4 years, but until somebody else has been named as a replacement, she'll kind of be in limbo. So my take is it could take 2 more years until we really see any form of guidance or change with or issuance of a framework. I mean, but to the SEC's credit, they have been putting out proposals for public comment. So they have proposed changing the investor accreditation laws. So meaning that not just rich people can invest, but people who are qualified, like people who maybe take the Series 65 exam and pass, which is something I've done, right? Or maybe, so all these proposals they've been putting out there are good. And recently the SEC also issued out a second proposal wanting to get more guidance on how to really regulate this space. Well, not the space, but investing and capital formation. So about changing laws or changing how much you can raise for a Reg CF, a Reg A plus. So I think the SEC, at least from what I've been reading, they are making change. They are trying to change the laws, right? Because they realize they are getting left behind. People are going overseas to participate in crypto and its ecosystem, and they can't have that happening. Otherwise, they'll be out of business. Just kind of as a figure of speech, crypto in America will be out of business. So, I mean, going to your question, what are my thoughts on the U.S. catching up to other countries regarding innovation? I don't think the U.S. will always be at the forefront leading the innovation, but I don't think they'll ever get left behind because they can't allow that to happen, right? So I think they drag their feet, and once because they basically let other countries be the guinea pigs, and once they see, okay, this is what works, this is what isn't working, and this is what's happening right now in America, then they come in and they clean up the mess in America in terms of the scams and whatnot, and try to figure out a framework and apply that. But because the U.S. is such a big capital market, and lots of other countries, unfortunately, they just listen to what the U.S. does because it's a big market. And the U.S. also has a habit of strong arming other countries to do what they want, even if they don't want to. So the example, this was a different podcast. This was a podcast from Epicenter I was going through, where they said, for example, what happened in Panama. Panama was one of the last countries out there, really, that allowed you to own bear share instruments, which is basically, so bear share means that you own a piece of paper, and just by having physical possession of that paper, you own those shares. So if I hand you a share that says, okay, you own 1% of token metrics, for example. This is just an example. And I give you that paper, you now physically own those shares. So you can just pass those shares around, and anybody who has those shares owns them. Well, this wasn't so good when it comes to taxes, because this was used a lot in Panama for tax evasion. So the U.S. didn't like this a lot. So in a way, they've pressured governments to stop, because bear shares are not legal anymore in America. I believe the last state to have it might have been Wyoming. I think in like 2007, I believe, something like that. But in America, they've been banned because talking about tax evasion heaven. So when the U.S. sees other small countries like, let's say, the Cayman Islands, well, not just the U.S., but even the European Union. Like recently, I know they've labeled particular countries as tax havens, or putting them on a blacklist and making it tough for them to do business globally. So you have the EU and the US. They can dictate terms globally. They can add economic sanctions. I mean, they do this all the time with Iran, North Korea, right? Even now with all these other global governments, with Facebook Libra, with FATFA, and forcing exchanges to comply and share data on their customers with each other. So all this isn't really a US thing. It's more like large developed countries can strong arm and force small countries to comply. So, I mean, but long story short, back to your question, I don't think the US will ever get left behind, but I don't think they'll be at the forefront of innovation, because their job is, as being a large capital market, is to take a steady wait and see approach and not do anything that's still experimental while it's in its infancy. So because of that, I think there will always be a laggard when it comes to innovate. I mean, technology-wise, America is definitely very innovative, right? So I'm not saying America isn't innovative. We all know Silicon Valley, all that. But I'm saying when that technology outpaces the compliance and regulation, that's when things can kind of get slowed down, at least from the blockchain and crypto industry. in other industries that don't really have compliance issues, America is very innovative. But in something like this, like finance and cryptocurrency, you have the SEC, the CFTC, the IRS, all these different governmental bodies and agencies that are trying to put their hand and slow down the innovation. But I don't think things will ever be. I mean, I don't think America will allow itself to get left behind, because they're smart enough to realize that they eventually have to catch up, and they can't get too far ahead. Too far behind. Otherwise, they'll never be able to catch up. But yeah, I mean, that's my take on it. Curious to see what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. All right. Okay. This person is saying BTC is dying now. Sub 8K anytime soon. I mean, so we did cover BTC earlier. Let me just take a look. So people are saying it's Ether is crashing as well. Ooh, man, 81.59. Okay, yeah. I mean, so Tokenmetrics likes it, short term and long term. Okay, let's go to the technical here. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? I mean, this is really a great buying opportunity if you're looking for cheaper BTC. So, I mean, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I mean, so people have been wanting to buy the dip. Well, here's the dip. I mean, so if you've been waiting to buy, now's the time to buy. Okay, we have a few more questions, then we'll wrap up. Love you, Ian. Thank you. I love you all as well. Thank you all for the support. Great to have you guys here. Okay, all right. So let's see. Former head of crypto, Kelly Loeffler. Yeah. So she was the one who was at Backed. I mean, so I can't really comment much on her. All I know is, I mean, she definitely made moves to go from working with Backed, I mean, being the lead or CEO or chairman or chairwoman of Backed, to now a Georgian senator. I mean, so maybe she can help pass laws and regulation to help us in crypto, man. I mean, come on, like, put the whole family on. All right, so let me take a few more questions here from the Tokenmetrics YouTube channel before we wrap up. Okay, please have a look at Constant, a peer-to-peer lending project. Please submit it on the feedback page or in our Telegram, because I want to have time today. Stock futures have dropped by almost 5%, triggering trade limits. They are following stocks now. Yeah, I mean, so Mazdu, definitely good comment, as Bill said. I mean, so what Bill said, for those who missed it earlier in the live stream, he said that when a hedge fund or when funds say sell everything, they mean sell everything. So when they sell all their positions, they aren't, as he said, they aren't keeping crypto or Litecoin or Ethereum or Bitcoin. When they're getting out of everything, they're getting out of everything. They're going straight to cash on the sidelines, or maybe to like something else that's a safer investment. So yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's it, guys and girls. It's been great weekend. Thank you all for watching the show, the live stream. We definitely can't do what we do without you. I definitely recommend you check out that book I talked about by Howard Marks. Check out his videos as well. But that book is good. Right now I'm going through his other book, Mastering the Cycle. The other book I talked about was called The Important Thing. Let me see if I can pull it up here again. Actually, it's called The Most Important Thing by Howard Mark. Then the other book I'm reading right now by him is called Mastering the Market Cycle. So definitely check that out. I also have a third book I have on my list to read. Actually, it's right over here. It's called Your Complete Guide to Factor-Based Investing: The Way Smart Money Invests Today. I've not gone through it yet, but factor-based investing, I think, is really the way to go, especially even with what we're doing with token metrics. So, actually, maybe let me just talk about this before I wrap up. So technically not done yet. Factor-based investing. Yeah, I think the five factors. So just give me a second here as I pull this up. I want to find a good one. So, because what I'm exploring is getting and applying this to crypto. Okay, so here's the. So I think factor-based investing in crypto could be the future. So what does factor-based investing mean? So it means going through academic literature and looking at things that have been academically proven to work. So not things that might work or we think they work, but things that have been back-tested by science and professors at lots of these big colleges, things that work based on science. And looking at what works in capital markets, and then what I want to do in the future is get this and apply it to crypto. So going back to this here document from Invesco, right? So here are the different styles of factor-based investing. So these things have been proven to work. So value investing, the size, so meaning that having a low market cap has been proven to work. Momentum, so things that go up keep on going up. So looking at a time frame that could vary from 3 months to 12 months. Volatility, having low volatility has been proven to work. Quality, so earlier in the live stream I talked about value and quality. Both have been proven to work, but you analyze them and assess them differently. Then dividend yield and some other stuff as well. So I'm reading this book that I just showed you guys, Factor-Based Investing, because I love investing and I'm curious about factor-based investing, so I'm doing my research. So through these books, so if this book is based on factor-based investing, then the most important thing is really a book on value investing. So let me bring this one up here. So this book I read by Howard Marks is really a guide on value investing. Then the other book I'm also going to be that I'm reading now is called Mastering the Market Cycle. So both of these books are really books on value investing. So I think this book I haven't finished it. I'm on chapter 1, but I'm pretty sure I'll also recommend this book because other people I know who are professional investors also recommend this book a lot. So this book and the other book are good starting points to learn about value investing. Momentum is really just technical analysis, so price action. Size is just low cap, so we kind of know this. Quality is something I'm kind of going through more as well. In crypto, quality, I think, would probably be more looking at things from a perspective of the technology, right? While value, you have metrics out there already like network value to transaction ratio, but I'm looking into possibly seeing what people in crypto have already done in this space. I did share with our group, there was a nice newsletter from the Coin Metrics team that goes into detail about the academic literature, and also just blog posts from other people in the crypto space on how they value crypto assets. So I have a huge pile of papers to read to go through this, but I think for value investing, if we can pivot from a subjective perspective, because almost all investors, ourselves included, when we go through and do fundamental research, we're doing a value judgment on a project based on our perspective. But if we can pivot to looking at on-chain metrics, So whether it's pulling in data from Coinmetrics or some other platforms, right now, crypto is still in its infancy, where there isn't enough on-chain data for all kinds of projects and tokens, because I mean, it's tough. I think Coinmetrics might only have like the top 70 in market cap in terms of on-chain data. I don't think they have like 1,000 cryptocurrencies on-chain data. So, but I do think that is the future, because then we can value projects not so much based on our subjective interpretation, even though we may be analysts or experts, but more on the actual usage. So if the network is actually growing itself, we can in real time track that. And I think it's going to take some time. It might take a couple of years or so, but I think that's the future. And if we can get that and make it factor-based investing and add the AI, I mean, to the moon and beyond. To the moon and beyond. All right. Thank you guys so much. Great having you. Let me know what you guys think about factor-based investing. If you guys are in, comment down below. And with that being said, subscribe, share with your friends, join Tokenmetrics if you haven't yet already. I mean, we're in tough times. This is where having research and a good team and community is best, right? Research is king. Research gives you that edge. And we think Tokenmetrics can help give you that edge. So start your 14-day trial today. Use the coupon code CryptoFamily for 10% up if you haven't